Yeah, let's start things off. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Max Depth. We are in for our 70th episode with Nimrod. I found out about you from an AI company you're building right now for kind of automated calling that I know we're going to get into, but you've had a kind of a long history of building companies in the military. Just seemed like a super interesting guy. So I'm excited to, talk about life, talk about, thinking and solving difficult problems, and then eventually kind of where the world is going and what's really important to work on and what we should be spending our our time working on. So thanks for joining me. Super appreciative. And yeah, maybe you can start off with just a little bit of background and maybe some of the past projects you've worked on.
Sure, 100%. So grew up in Israel, born and raised in Israel. Today I go back and forth to Austin just because like some of my companies there, most of my investors are there. At the age of 18, I recruited to the special forces of the Israeli Defense Force. In Israel, it's mandatory to do like to do a military service. I served as a combat soldier in the special forces. 3 years of mandatory service. Then I signed up for another year. Afterwards, completed my JD and my MBA both at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. Started and led a few business ventures until now. Started with real estate, was very successful. Afterwards, I had another startup that wasn't really successful, but I learned a lot. And everything brought me to VOXIA basically 3.5 years ago. Basically, what we're building in VOXIA, it's really relevant to the hype that we have today around like all of the AI and Gen AI. We're basically building the first and leading AI voice conversation platform. We use advanced AI agents to handle large-scale call operation 24/7, 365. Basically revolutionize the industry by maximizing call volume, ensuring unprecedented accuracy, significantly boosting efficiency, and basically transforming how business communicate and engage with their audiences. We've raised almost $6 million to date, and based in Tel Aviv and in Austin. And I think that's about it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that was perfect. I was going to go back into the history, but I want to dive right into this company you're working on right now, just because it's so interesting. How did you identify this problem? What exactly is the problem? Is it the, call centers? I guess the history of that was probably, outsourcing call centers, and the difficulties in dealing with that. Now that we have these kind of automated chatbots that, I mean, your voices, we can do an inserted clip here, but they're like unbelievably realistic. It's not like talking to a robot. It's like talking to another person. So maybe you could just outline kind of how you came to this problem, why this solution is the solution, and then kind of maybe go into the use cases and who it's for and, what it kind of lets people 10x do, something like that.
Definitely. So first of all, we're in the sales tech area for a lot of years already, so I know it pretty well. Whether if we're speaking about performance management for SDRs, like sales development representatives and business development representatives, account executives, I mean, how to measure them, who is good, who is not good, who is underperforming, who is overperforming. And we basically we had a lot of different generations in the company. First, we integrated into leading CRMs like Salesforce and HubSpot, and afterwards to leading engagement platforms like SalesLoft and Outreach. And we basically sat on a gold mine of data, of a lot of different call recordings, a lot of transcripts, and we came to the realization that we can basically simulate sales calls. To simulate emails, for example, to be like an AI SDR writing emails to potential customer is relatively easy today, obviously with the uprising LLM models, ChatGPT, OpenAI. But to do it over the phone, this is more complex. And this is something that we found to be extremely challenging first of all, but the market is enormous, endless. Obviously, there are a lot of companies that will try to solve this problem right now. I don't know if it's like, I won't look at it as a problem, as I would look at it as some kind of opportunity. Because today we're speaking about call centers, companies that holds tens of thousands of different human agents in order to provide to do different calls, whether we're speaking about inbound or outbound, but also for SMBs. I mean, you're speaking about small companies, mom and pop shops that holding 2, 3, 4 people that will pick up the phone, ask how was the service, how was the product, take orders, whatever, you name it. Tons of different use cases, and that's basically right now where for us also it's very challenging to focus on the right things right now, because as a startup you can't really do everything. You need to focus and you need to bet on the right direction. But that's what brought us to focus on, first of all, on this opportunity, and I'll be happy to do also to call you right now just to show you how it works if you want to.
That's great to hear, Max. I'm actually calling to hear about your experience with our service. Can you spare a minute to help me out with 3 quick questions?
I really got to go, but if you keep it short, then yeah.
No problem, Max. I'll keep it short and sweet. First of all, were we able to fix the problem you had with your car?
You were.
Sorry, I didn't catch that. Could you please repeat what you said?
Yeah, you were able to fix the problem. Thanks a lot.
Awesome. Glad to hear that we were able to fix the problem with your car. How professional would you say our mechanics are?
They were completely professional.
That's great to hear, Max. We take pride in our team of professional mechanics. Now, can we do anything better? Any suggestions or feedback you'd like to share?
Yeah, maybe just being a little bit more timely with the follow-up between appointments, maybe letting me know the day before when my appointment was, and maybe sending me something after just saying, hey, everything went well. Might be interesting.
Yeah, I can see that. Sending a follow-up message after the appointment to let you know that everything went well sounds like a great idea. We'll definitely take that into consideration. Did you get any instructions on how to extend your battery's life?
No, I didn't. Do you know of any?
I don't have any specific instructions on hand, but I can definitely look into it for you. I'll make a note of your request and pass it along to our team.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome, Max. We appreciate your feedback.
All right, thanks a lot.
You're welcome, Max. We appreciate your feedback. Thanks for your time. Have a good day.
Wow. And that's crazy because it was gonna ask one more question, but then I was like, I'm out of here, and it recognized that. Wow. It's pretty good. Yeah, wow.
So that's just
crazy.
one use cases of survey after service. Obviously.
And so what does that cost you?
You ask in terms of cost, let's say
like that phone call.
I want to say a few cents per minute.
Cents. Yeah, that's crazy.
We have a lot of costs here, basically around the call provider and the LLM engine that sits behind, and AWS and everything around it. So it costs us something like a few cents.
Mm-hmm. And so talk to me about the technicals of so say so you realize you're sitting on this gold mine of past sales call data, email data that you can train this model on. How do you go about doing that? Is there an overview you can give me, to train a model for a specific task?
So that's a bit more complex. So we basically run our own LLM model for each and every one of the use cases that that we're solving.
So you have an LLM dedicated for each use case?
Yes.
And what are the buckets? What are the use case buckets?
I mean, today we're focusing on speed to lead or an inbound. We're focusing on lead revival or re-engagement with past customers in order to get them back to the table. We did a little bit of cart abandonment after survey, as you heard. So that's mostly. We do a little bit of outbound, but cold calling, but we try not to do it a lot because like we have a lot of business in the inbound.
Okay, cool. Okay, so you have these individual LLMs dedicated to each, each kind of task that you're each kind of focus. And before you were talking about, being disciplined about choosing which areas to really pursue because you're kind of placing bets on which ones are actually going to be, the highest return based on the time and effort you're putting to investing in them. So what are the top three areas that you're dedicating these areas to? Is it customer, past customer relationship like you mentioned? What are those?
So right now, mostly it will be mostly around like speed to lead. Once someone is submitted like a form through like a company's website, we'll engage with him right away. Because today the situation is that it takes a lot of time to engage with the customers, and then they go out to the next vendor. The second one is the lead revival. If someone used your product in the past and you want to bring him back to the table, that's what we'll do as well. Surveys, feedback reviews, product reviews, like things like this. Also, that's like the main use cases we're focusing on right now.
Yeah, I saw a clip of yours that was someone like that said they were on the website, and then an agent, one of these LLMs called them while they were still on the website and basically engaged with them. And the idea is that by engaging with them while they're still on the website, instead of going off, they'll kind of stay on it, and maybe you can direct them to the right area. Which,
Exactly.
I don't know the rates of how often people, if it's a clothing store, for instance, how many people visit the website versus how many people actually lead to check it. I know there's many steps in there, whether they're how long they can actually stay on it, but I'm guessing the longer you stay, the better. And then if you're on a phone call with them and you can kind of point them to different directions, and you could even point them, hey, we have recommendations for you, something like that, if they have their past experience, whatever. I could see how that would be really valuable to people. So from everyone you've talked to so far, what are this is not vertical SaaS, this is horizontal, so you're servicing everyone. Are you big companies, small companies? Are there who have you worked with so far? I guess maybe not even to name names, but the types of people. And then what has the feedback been like? Have you deployed this already? Has there been big boosts in their churn, or how many people they're able to engage with? Is there any information around that?
Who is our ICP? Who is our ideal customer profile? And the answer is that right now the problem is that I don't know to tell you for sure, because we see success in a lot of different verticals right now.
Yeah.
In a lot of different companies, big ones, small ones, SMEs, SMBs, huge enterprises. We see a lot of success right now. And that's our main challenge right now, to just focus on the right ones. So my answer for you, the honest answer is that I still don't know for sure.
What's your pricing model like?
It really depends.
Yeah.
On like, we're starting with a paid POC. They're paying like X amount of dollars for like Y amount of contacts. If it goes well, it really depends on the size of the company, how many contacts they have, how many leads, how many phone calls a day, an hour, things like this.
But would it be the same? Would it be like a function of the number of hours, or would it be based on use cases? Because I was just saying, like, would the same function be used to plug in for like a small business, like a mom and pop shop that wants someone to kind of answer the phone and take orders for their homemade pies they're selling, and then like Apple's like customer service department? Would it be the same? You're just like the same formula, you're just plugging in different numbers?
No, because for mom and pop shop, it will be much more affordable. because they don't need a lot of calls. They need, like, let's say 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 a month, something like this. So it will be something reasonable for them. For the huge enterprises, for big call centers that are calling 50,000 times a day, and even more, like this is like a small call center, it will cost a lot more, but it will cost less per call, obviously.
And then what's the math on like a traditional call center, like, you know, someone outsourcing, you know, to India or Bangladesh or Indonesia, wherever these call centers are based, Mexico, like how do they charge? Is it the same pricing model? Is it, you know, these people are getting paid, I'm guessing, like kind of low single digit US dollars per hour, something like that, maybe less, maybe more. I doubt much more. Versus VOXIA, like, do you know how much money you would be saving? Is there an example of like how much money a X size business would be saving from switching from outsourcing to, you know, people to like LLMs?
No, the answer is because I can calculate a lot of different things, but in reality, it's different because it really depends on the success rate as well. Like the question to ask is how much VOXIA will be more successful than a human agent, and then I'll ask you, who is the human agent? Is it someone that is extremely experienced salesperson that sits behind the phone, and it will be hard for us to compete with them? Or it's someone that is inexperienced with problems in the language and accent, that is doing something pretty simple like survey or something like this, that 99.9% of the people hang up or not even answering. And that's where we'll see the success. So it really depends also.
When you were training the model, did you think about like training different LLMs for like different tonalities? Like if it was a company based in a certain region, would you try to have like an LLM that spoke in a certain dialect, like certain accent to fit with them? And maybe that question first.
You're asking about, again,
like if you would train the model to you, like the woman that called me, the woman, you know, sounded like she was from anywhere in the US. Like if it was a company based in, like a US company, you know, based in Germany or something, like a German accent or something, did you think about kind of who the people that would be calling were, and factor in that in creating the LLM? Or was it kind of just make the LLM to be someone that you can communicate with?
I mean, at first it was something that you can communicate with. Obviously, like when we go deeper and deeper, and when we'll have a lot more calls than we have today, we'll be able to say basically also based on demographics and location and obviously age and territory, everything. And
then I wanted to ask about when you're training these LLMs, you said you were sitting on this gold mine of data, right? How did you, and then you were also talking about, you know, it's very difficult for an LLM to compete against like a killer salesperson, you know, someone that can pick up the phone and do their thing. They've been doing
the answer is pretty simple. We just don't compete with them.
Yeah, you don't compete with them. But is there a way to, you know, have their conversations recorded and then, you know, compete against themselves?
We have, and still there are a lot of technological barriers in order for us like to compete with a human, with a great salesperson, a human one. Its tonation is it's really hard to, let's say, to remove the humanity out of the call and still for it to be perfect. We can be near perfect, but to get into a perfection, the technology is not there yet. But we're pretty damn close.
Yeah. Do you have any idea on like how the technology would need to progress? Like, do you have any thoughts about like what would need to happen before VOXIA could compete with the best?
We're not far away from there. I mean, it's a lot of things around like tonation and to understand feelings and to understand like the sentiment of the other side, and if the conversation is going well or not, and what to say when. But we're not far away. I would say like probably couple of years.
When did you raise the 6 million?
In June of 22.
June of 22, so about a year and some change. And can I ask like how much you've spent of that? Like how fast you're?
We're running fast, but we have income as well. So.
Oh yeah, can you talk to me about that at all?
We're in a good position to be in.
Okay, cool. And so I guess if you're raising your next funding round, what is the money being used for?
First of all, a lot will go to R&D, obviously. If we're building the leading AI conversation platform, we need to have the strongest engineers that are out there. We need to have a lot. We need to build multiple teams that will do. Some will go to the call quality, and some will handle applications, some will handle API, and etc. And obviously, big part of it will go to building the sales team, because right now it's we're only a few people that are doing this, but we'll need to have like a lot more if we want to expand that.
And are you having VOXIA as part of your sales team?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
I can't sell it if I'm not using it myself.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's really interesting. Well, I kind of wanted to think about like how did you meet your co-founder? You're the CTO.
We know 4 years already. He's older than me, but but we met like few years ago. Then when we decided to start VOXIA, we just said let's do it like for like a few months, let's see how it goes. And 3.5 years later, here we are, and one of the best decisions I've made.
I guess, how did you find product market fit?
It's a vague product market fit is a vague phrase. I don't even know if we found it yet. Like, how do you know if you find it? That's the question. People say, well, you feel it. So if that's the case, I feel that we found it, like just like interactions, like iterations after like working with a lot of different customers. Once you feel that companies are starting POCs and wants to convert into like start using it like on an ongoing basis, that's where you find like, okay, this is like real product market fit.
And have you seen that?
Yeah.
What's POC? Point of contact?
It's proof of concept for them.
Oh, proof of concept.
It works for them. It shows them value before they like pay a lot of money.
Interesting. And
but also for the POC, which we're charging for the POC, it costs money. We're not doing anything for free right now, because they get a lot of value from the POCs as well, and we put some time and effort in it, so they need to pay.
Are you talking about like a pilot run of like a select group of companies using it? How did you go about that? And then also, how did you go about measuring
every company that wants to start working with us? First, we say, let's start a POC. Like, recommend start a POC. Otherwise, it creates a lot of noise, a lot of like we don't want like customers to be like to be not happy. Let's say it like this. And if the POC is successful, afterwards it will be successful as well. It will be even more successful.
Have you had customers be unhappy / what are the reasons that people say, no, this isn't not for us? If they are.
We didn't have, thank God, customers that are not happy. We have obviously potential customers that we met with that say, well, it's not for us. And we had a lot that we said, no, it's not for you. A lot of like companies that wanted to do like cold outreach, trying to sell something over like telemarketing, I think it's less of a fit. So we most of the time say it's not for you. If you'll need one of the use cases here, let's do it. A lot of different small companies that don't have the volume, and then like I'll suggest like just hire someone and do it. Like you don't need us to do it. That's mostly what will happen.
And why do you not like the kind of the outbound sales call for VOXIA?
It's not that I don't like it, just like it's in matter of focus. And if I need to focus on something, I'll focus on like areas where the intention of the customer is high.
The areas where the intention of the customer is high.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Support, customer success, inbound, everything around it.
Interesting. So you just see yourself kind of developing these models further, making them, as realistic as possible. Is there any need / concern about like disclaiming that the person people are talking to on the other side is not a person?
Look, for some of the people, they don't like it. But you always have people that don't like what you do or don't like the other people to call them. It's part of life. But that's why, like, obviously, that's one of the reasons that we're focusing on inbound where the intention is high. If you want to get support for something, if you have a problem and you want to get it fixed, you don't care if you're speaking to a human agent or to an AI agent.
You just care that it gets fixed.
You just want it to get fixed. You don't want to wait. And if someone has a problem and wants to speak to a human agent, they have the option to speak to a human agent, but they'll need to wait.
Yeah, that's a great point. And so how did you come up with the idea? Like, what was the first like, oh, I want to do this. This is the problem I want to work
on. It came after a lot of different iterations, but basically when we understood, okay, this is the best time, we have everything we need, we have the strongest minds, and this is a big enough like opportunity for us to work on.
And were you thinking, how can I apply AI to a problem set, or did it come from that initial realization that you have this data and then, oh shit, I can do something with it?
First of all, I think that those who are not leveraging AI today, I would say that they're missing a lot. I mean, it's probably the biggest revolution since the internet. You can do everything with it, and if you're not implementing it in what you're building, I just think that you're missing a lot.
Yeah, it seems like LLMs are I mean, in addition to visual, in addition to, video and audio, there's just like a very kind of limiting amount of what makes people different, what AI can't do, even in the form, people worry about AI, like super intelligences, right? AGI, this is a big worry for people that are informed, worry about AGI. I think in a much more sophisticated way than people that aren't informed worried about AGI. But I think that maybe a more immediate concern is, what do people do when most of what we do can kind of be automated away? And people, the counter argument to that is that, hey, that's what people thought when we had the conveyor belt in the factories and that system before. But then the other argument to that is that, no, this is a fundamentally bigger change than that. There is, that people really are, being replaced in what they need to do. So is there a world, like what does the world look like in the future when, you know, salespeople are mostly gone, you know, people that are creating marketing content are mostly gone, like so many of these jobs are automated away, or there's, you know, what used to take, you know, 100 people, you know, a task that took 10 people or 100 people, one person. Is there, you know, what kind of opportunities open up? Is it just people developing more AI? I don't know
First,
if
I
you've
would
thought much
say,
about.
I would say that first of all, we're not replacing at the moment human agents. We just make sure that they're focusing on the right things. They're focusing on the right contacts. We give them all the contacts that they need to have before a conversation. We qualify lead for them. And in every market, when the AI takes jobs, it creates other ones. And that's part of the circle, and you can't really stay behind. I mean, you can, but I don't recommend.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I just, yeah, I guess making sure that you're just keeping up with the technology and making sure that you're the one leading the curve. Exactly what you guys are doing is the best way to kind of protect yourself against it. It's like if you can't beat them, join them, and that kind of seems like the situation we're in, which is really interesting because that's such a sci-fi phrase, and yet it's here. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, I love what you're doing. Everything made a lot of sense. Yeah, super interesting. And it was great talking to you. Yeah, it was really interesting, really fascinating. I mean, I always, you know, love to stay connected with people, and, you know, I have a lot of contacts that I've made in different industries. So I was trying to think of kind of some of the main problems you were talking about is just kind of with this huge kind of solution space that your product service opens up, is how to define your path, kind of how to narrow focus. And you know, it's a difficult question because, you know, are you targeting, you know, $1 million $10, you know, clients, or you know, $10 million $1 million clients?
A good question.
Yeah, and it's like, how do you define that? Because I mean, like the difference, I mean, I've been kind of, you know, trying to read about the differences in that. It seems like it's easier to go engage with the bigger clients because it's like, but it's also a very kind of different strategy, I guess. Enterprise sales is not, you know, something that I have any experience in, but it seems like kind of a different beast than, you know, selling to, you know, an average person, or, you know, setting it up with, you know, smaller businesses. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, how you navigate that space. And it's, you know, an interesting kind of problem, real world, but also kind of thinking problem, that you know, you guys are working on. So it's pretty interesting. And was there any thought, something that just came to me, is there thought of like integrating with either like Shopify or companies like that? So if someone had, like, could they call you up about a specific problem? Like if you were on Nike.com, and you were, you know, looking at a specific thing, like, you know, hey, they don't have this size, like, do you know when that will come in? I wonder if integrating like directly into the website, I guess that's kind of already what you guys are doing, would be pretty interesting too. But
in order to do a lot of things, you need to integrate into the CRM, whether it's Salesforce or HubSpot. It solves a lot of the problems.
And the CRM has all of the existing customers. Yeah,
existing customers, potential customers, marketing funnel, sales funnel, everything.
And do they have that? Do they have those because they basically track the users that enter the website? So CRM has people, like if I go to the Nike website, but
we're not speaking about customers that get in the website. We're speaking about customers that leave their contact in the website.
Their contact, yeah.
They're submitting a form or something like this, and then we have their information.
So that's so companies really want to just get your info to be able to engage with, for you to be able to leave, and then you can continually engage with them. So any sort of, form little, quiz, or like little one question, even a little factoid that you find. Yeah. Anything. So, it'll be like interesting to see, how companies get creative with that information getting, like, is because the traditional, like, submit your email here, click X right away. How do you engage with people that are, kind of just like, oh, I know this already, this is expected and boring and stale? Is there, I wonder if it's going to be a video. I wonder if it's going to be, a voice popping up on the website and saying, hey, like, I know you're busy right now, we're doing a sale next week, 20% off. I wonder if it's a voice that does that instead of text. I wonder if it's, with this Gen AI, if it's a returning customer, I wonder if there's going to be, I'm sure there are companies working on this, personalized things for them, like a little, AI created video based on exactly like what they've done in the past, or something like that, to further engage with them. So that seems like an interesting thing to work on too. How to engage people, at that company or at that website level, and get them into the system. Seems like something to work on too.
Tons of applications, tons of use cases.
Yeah. All right. Well, I super appreciate the conversation. And good luck with everything you're working on.
Thank you.
Yeah, super interesting, and I'm excited to see kind of where it goes, and hopefully you're able to reach everyone.
Of course, it will happen eventually. Trust me.
There we go.